not doing too well because I haven't hit the gym for 3 weeks. Can you believe that? My right knee got injured from hiking, so I can't work out as much as I want to.
But we're not gonna talk about my injury in this video. And yes, I'm gonna be talking in English for this entire video because some of you have requested it, so I'm doing it today. Today's topic is still gonna be about English, since that's what we do on my channel. But today is gonna be a little unique because I'm gonna be talking about my English. I'm gonna be judging my English, my grammar, my accent. What do I think about my English? Do I think my English is fluent? Do I make mistakes when I'm speaking English? I'm gonna be open and vulnerable with you guys. So English is not my first language. I was born and raised in Indonesia. Although I got introduced to English at a very young age because my dad was an English teacher, I didn't grow up speaking it. My dad didn't speak English with me on a daily basis. I don't know why. I wasn't surrounded by people who spoke English. I didn't go to international school. I never studied abroad. But growing up, I've always loved English. I watch a lot of English movies with English subtitles. I listen to a lot of English music. And what I did was I would listen to a song while reading the lyrics at the same time. And that's how I learned new vocabulary. Growing up, my English skill was just in my head. I was able to read in English. I was able to understand the movies that I watch. I was able to understand the meaning of a song lyric, but I couldn't speak it because I had no one to practice English with. I didn't get the chance to use it actively. Battery out. Okay, I'll be right back. So yeah, I didn't feel that my English had made a significant improvement until I began interacting daily with English native speakers. And that's after I graduated from college. Because I was forced to use my English on a daily basis. When I first spoke with English native speakers, it was, wow, this is different. They don't sound like those actors that I see on TV. I've had moments where I didn't understand native speakers. I've had moments where I wasn't understood by them. I've had moments where I didn't feel confident talking with them because I was so scared to be judged. I felt that my English sucked, that it wasn't going to improve. So I've experienced all those things that a lot of English learners may experience. So when you guys send me DMs and or emails saying that, oh, English is hard, I don't think my English is improving, I understand English but I can't speak it, trust me, I know how that feels like. I've been there, done that. Even now, guys, I still think English is difficult. Now, after all these years I spent on learning English, do I think that my English is fluent? But first, what is fluency? How do you know that you're fluent in English? A lot of people think that being fluent in a language means you have to be perfect. That you have to know every grammar rule. You have to know every pronunciation rule. You have to know the meaning of every single word. Or you have to speak it with either American or British accent. Fortunately, that's not what being fluent means. According to Cambridge Dictionary, being fluent in a language means being able to speak that language easily and well without many pauses. Now, based on this definition and also other definitions that I read online, I want to say that my English is pretty fluent. It's okay. I'm able to engage in a long conversation in English. I can joke in English. I understand some English jokes. There are jokes that I don't understand though. My husband actually had me watch the stand-up comedy with Chris Rock and I didn't understand any of his jokes. But I can understand other jokes. Then I can make small talk with strangers, like at the gym or at a grocery. I can have phone conversation in English, like making my own dentist appointment or ordering food. I can ask for help in English if I need to. So I feel that I have the English skills that I need for my daily life. I don't think I pause that much when I'm talking in English, but I do though sometimes stumble on some words that I'm not familiar with. Like when I try to describe something and I can't find the proper English word to describe it, and that's when I go, you know. But at the same time, I'm able to be creative and maneuver my way through the conversation by using the words that I know, and I'm still able to get my point across. Because you see, language is flexible. If you don't know one word, there are synonyms that you can use. There are many ways to communicate. Now, if you guys ask me what my English level is, that I don't know. I don't remember if I ever took an English proficiency test, and if I did, it might have been way back in college, and I don't remember anything about it. But I do know though, I do know that my English is far from perfect. I do recognize that I make grammar errors every now and then when I'm talking in English. I also make pronunciation errors, but we'll talk more about that later. Now, about the accent. You can speak fluent English with any accent. You can speak fluent English with your Indonesian accent. You can speak fluent English with your Japanese accent if you're Japanese like me. So accent and fluency are two different things. And I had to say this because I get this question a lot from my followers. A lot of them think that you can only be considered fluent if you speak either with American or British accent. And that's wrong, guys. I don't speak with 100% American accent. I think my accent is a mix of a little bit of American, a little bit of Indonesian, a little bit of Japanese, and a lot of it of Puri's accent. Most people that I meet here in the US, they can't tell where I'm from judging from my accent. And I think that's because not that many people are familiar with Indonesian accent. I'll tell you a little story. Whenever I meet a new person here in the US, and let's say we have a long conversation that lasts more than 15 minutes, the first 2 to 5 minutes of that conversation would give him or her the impression that I was either born here in the US or raised here. But then we would have a longer conversation, right? Let's say after 10 minutes of the conversation, he or she would eventually notice that, no, she's not from here. And that's because I would either mispronounce some words, or my Indonesian accent would suddenly make an appearance. I just can't help it. And that's when they usually ask me, where are you from? That's when I start bragging about Indonesia. So yeah, I do mispronounce words, especially words that have more than 2 syllables. English learners, you know the struggle. Like, which syllable do I put the stress on? It actually just happened the other day ago when I was talking to my husband and I had to say the word examination. And he laughed. And that's when I knew that I pronounced it wrong. Initially, I didn't say examination. I said examination. I put the stress on the first syllable instead of the second syllable. I pronounced it the Indonesian way because in Indonesian, the word will be eksaminasi. It's not eksaminasi, it's eksaminasi. So I pronounced it the way I would pronounce it in Indonesian. So the correct English pronunciation is examination. The stress is on the second syllable, examination. I have mentioned in one of my old videos that I used to say lavender instead of lavender. I used to say metabolism instead of metabolism. You see, for a lot of Indonesians, these words may sound the same because we don't have word stress in our language. This is also why I rarely make videos about pronunciation. I feel like I'm not the best person for you guys to learn pronunciation from because I mess up my pronunciation all the time. I think the best way for you guys to learn pronunciation is from English native speakers, which I'm not. And then grammar errors. Do I make grammar errors when I'm talking in English? Yes, I do. But I don't feel super bad, I guess, for making grammar errors here and there. Because when you speak in an informal daily conversation, people rarely notice when you make grammar errors. A lot of native speakers also make grammar errors when they speak. You'll be surprised. It's just that they make different kind of errors. So you can tell that grammar errors that a native speaker would make are different from grammar errors that an English learner would make. I'll probably talk about that on a different video. But I can tell you now what kind of grammar errors that I usually make. One is when it comes to countable and uncountable noun. You know, for things that are obviously uncountable, like liquid, grains, powder, those things are obviously uncountable because you can't count liquid, right? But there are things that are not that obvious. Like for example, candy. I didn't know that candy is an uncountable noun because I thought that, hey, I can count candy, but it turned out that candy is uncountable. So you don't say a lot of candies, you say a lot of candy. And then prepositions like in, on, at, by, of. Sometimes I still get confused like which preposition is for what. You see, English native speakers wouldn't make that kind of mistake. They would know exactly which preposition is for what. And there are other things that are still confusing to me. But most of the times though, not always, I do recognize when I make grammar mistakes. I don't necessarily correct it because when you talk, you just talk. You don't have time to structure grammar in your head. But you know, as long as the person that I'm talking to understands what I'm saying, then I won't bother correcting it. But I know in my head that, oh, I just made a mistake. So yeah, every day is a learning day for me. Every day is a chance for improvement. Like if you compare my English now to my English last year, I know that I've improved quite a bit. 5 years ago, I wouldn't be able to read an English book without looking up the dictionary every 30 seconds of reading it. Now I can read a whole book. I would still look up the dictionary every now and then, but what I'm saying is that I know that my English has improved so much from time to time. And to me, when it comes to reading, I don't need to understand like the meaning of every single word. I just need to understand the whole context of the sentence and I get the point. I'm sure there will be people who are watching this video right now who want to comment or even criticize my English. Whatever. And for my subscribers, a lot of you subscribe to my channel because you want to learn English. I want to say, don't get discouraged if you feel like you can't speak with American or British accent, because it doesn't mean that you can't be fluent. I think what's more important is articulation. Try to be clear when you speak. Try to make it easy for you to be understood, because that's the point of communication, is to understand and be understood. And it's okay to make mistakes, guys. I make mistakes. My husband, who's an English native speaker, and he makes mistakes. We correct each other's English all the time. I've said this in my past videos, but I'm gonna say it again. Immerse yourself in English every day, and when I say every day, means literally every day, okay? Immerse yourself in English every day, grow your vocabulary, make mistakes, know your mistakes, and improve. So my purpose of making this video is to inspire you guys. The tips that I give you on my videos are basically based on my personal experience. I grew up learning English from scratch. You've been at where you are, so I understand completely how it feels. But if you immerse yourself in English every day, you will only get better at it. Don't give up, because you can do it. Alright guys, so I'll see you on my next video. Bye.